Hello guys, welcome back. Now today I want to talk about players in the NHL that I think have resurrected their careers with their performance this season. Now there are 7 players that I'm going to mention here, and a lot of them are players that really underperformed last season and were kind of struggling. Some of them were pretty much rumored to be traded. Some of them were really down in the dumps, and a lot of people were really just kind of, unimpressed with their performance and really rated them lowly. And now that a lot of these players have started to come back this season and play fantastic, it's really shine the light that, those were off seasons, and these players are a lot better this season. Now we're going to start with Claude Giroux, who was really an interesting player last season. Now, he was rumored to be traded, I think, in the offseason, something like that. He was rumored to be traded last season, and that would have been a whole different kind of NHL if that happened. I don't know where he would have gone, but the Flyers would have looked completely different this season. Might not even be in a playoff spot without him. Last season, he had 58 points. Really wasn't a down year for him after a few good seasons, and he was still great defensively, but that offense just wasn't quite there. It was still an okay season, but not what the Flyers were expecting at least. And this season he comes out and he just is fantastic. I mean, he has 92 points. I think he's leading the NHL in assists. He's been fantastic, and with 5 games left he can get a lot more, and he's been fantastic this season. Just from the start he's been consistent, and he's great already defensively, and now he's stepped up his game offensively, and that's a lot scary for teams that are trying to face him. And he's a very, very great all-around player, and he's one of them that has just improved mightily. Now, I wouldn't say his career was completely revived, because I don't think his career was dead, but I think that he was definitely in the rumors to be traded, and really he wasn't the face of the Flyers at that point last season, but now he definitely is. And going on along the lines with another Flyer, we have Jakub Voracek, who again had an off season for what really was expected from him last season. He got 61 points, was still good all around, but really did not have the season that people were quite expecting from him. That first line center, 61 points is okay, but it's not great and not what people were expecting. Then he comes out and gets 80 points this season. Now he was really hot, and now he started to cool off a little bit in the last few weeks of the season here, but especially in the first few months he was fantastic, and he was leading the NHL in assists not too long ago as well, and he wasn't really rumored to be traded at all, but he was just fantastic this season, and especially early in the season he really revived that Flyers magic for that first line, especially with Claude Giroux being great as always. That always helps him. And last season it was really in question if he was going to be the first line forward that the Flyers were going to expect for him going forward, and this season has definitely proved that he is definitely worthy. Then next up, we have quite possibly the most underrated player in the AHL right now, and that's Eric Staal, who, with the Minnesota Wild, has just really resurrected his career in every sense of the word. When he was with the Rangers a couple of years ago, I think he had 20 games played with 6 points. That was with the trade deadline deal. He goes to free agency, signs, I think it was a 3-year deal, 2-year deal, something like that with the Minnesota Wild. He ends up playing great for the first year, but still, people don't really recognize him as a first-line forward, which I think he did play as. He got 65 points last season, which is still good enough for, I'd say, first line. I'd say that's first line production right there. And really, he was still underrated last season. And going into this season, not many people really cared for what he was performing as. And he's been playing unbelievable for the Minnesota Wild. Probably the MVP of their season, I'd say, definitely. He's doing fantastic for them. He has 40 goals, 72 points. He's just doing unbelievable for them. Without him, they'd definitely not be in the playoffs right now. He with 40 goals, nobody would have expected that going into the season, but he's really turned it on. Of course, there's some luck involved with that, but he's really resurrected his career, and people are starting to pay attention to him, which I think he rightfully deserves, and he's finally getting the attention that I think he definitely needs to get, and he's definitely pushing the Minnesota Wild into the playoffs basically by himself. But seriously, we would have said Eric Staal had 40 goals going into this season. I would have said you're crazy, man. But he's pulled it off, and I think he's tied for 4th in the NHL, something like that in goals. He's just been unbelievable, to say the least. Now, next up, we go to a guy that I don't really like at all. We have Dustin Brown on the LA Kings, and I think he had something in the ballpark of 36 points last season, which is bad, especially when you have that contract goes to, I think it was 2022 or something like that. Really, really long contract and a really bad one at the time. Now, I still don't say it's a bad one, but Dustin Brown, he has 55 points, and he's done fantastic. Early in the season, he was a lot better. He's kind of slowed down in these past couple of weeks, but early in the season, he was doing fantastic. 55 points. He missed a couple of games due to suspensions, but he's played a lot better for the Los Angeles Kings. He was a captain, got stripped of it by Jakub Voracek, and I wouldn't say he's captain material quite quite yet, but he's definitely an assistant captain, and he's done a lot better, of course, than the last couple of seasons, and it was looking like one of the worst contracts in the NHL, but it's still a pretty bad one, but it's a lot better than what it was a year ago, and still 55 points. That's a huge improvement from 36, and still a few games to go. He can definitely improve on that, and he's definitely revived his career for him. So just a bad contract to, getting that out of the way. Another forward on this list, we have Riley Smith, who was traded and basically given up by the Florida Panthers for pretty much nothing in the offseason, given up to Vegas, who, it was a bad contract looking at back on the time, but it's a lot better now, and I'd say it's a decent contract now. Riley Smith, I think he's at $5 million. But with 60 points this season, he's basically resurrected that career, turned himself into not a bad contract, but a good one, and a good player at that, and he's done fantastic. Just great offensively all around, and along with Vegas, he's definitely benefited from that team and that atmosphere. He's doing fantastic with Vegas Golden Knights, and that's great to see. I do like him, former Dallas Stars draft pick, and he's doing great with Vegas as well as the team, and that's great to see from him. Now we have the first goalie on the list. We have Semyon Varlamov on the Colorado Avalanche, who had an abysmal season last year, an .898 save percentage for Colorado Avalanche. Of course, that was a terrible season for the team in general, and he was a part of it. He was injured for a lot of the season, had 24 games played, but even with those games played, he was trash in a lot of them. He really was not good. Even though the defense was not good at all, he was definitely not doing his part. He was bad, and just bad in general. But this season is a lot better for the team and him as well. He has a .918 save percentage, basically a 20 save percentage jump from last season. That's great. That's just a big jump from last season. Of course, it's not hard to get better than .898 at his level, but he's doing great. He's very, very solid for the Colorado Avalanche. Not one of the top leaders in save percentage, not one of the top goaltenders, but still a lot better than what he was. He resurrected his career. He's getting up there in age, so it's important that he's going to have some good years here with Colorado Avalanche. And that defense is a lot better than it was or at least last season, and he's definitely benefited from it, but he's been a lot better lately, and especially this season. And he hasn't gotten too much ice time with Burnett and backup. He's getting a lot of games as well, but with Varlamov, he's still playing great, and with Colorado Avalanche being a lot better defensively, that's going to help too. Then we have another goaltender in Darcy Kuemper, who was really, really mediocre last season. I think he had a .902 save percentage last year with Minnesota Wild. He goes to free agency, signs with the LA Kings, and starts being fantastic for them. Now, he's traded to Arizona, but while he was in his time in LA, he was really underrated. I think that he did benefit from the LA defense, but he was a lot better than he was in Minnesota. I could tell from that. The Stars faced him a couple times, so I got to see him quite a few times, and he was really good, really solid. He made the saves that he needed to do. He didn't really allow too many bad goals. He was just solid and just overall calm in nets, and that's what you want to see from backup goaltender. Of course, he won some games for them. He goes to Arizona, and now he hasn't been great for them. I think he's below 900 save percentage, but he's only played a few games there. And with Arizona, you're going to get less starts than Ranta traded at the deadline to Arizona. But with Arizona, it's going to be a big difference in defense, so I can't really blame him too much for the save percentage. But he's played a lot better this season, and he was basically solidified as an AHL starter, definitely from last season. And going into the backup, he got a chance in LA, definitely capitalized on it, and he's doing fantastic. And that's going to put him on the resume, to have that great save percentage for future in his career. Now, I have one more guy to mention here. Now, he's kind of an honorable mention, but still on the list as well. I have Marian Gaborik, who hasn't played as many games as he probably should have. I mean, he's only played like 41 games. Now, he's played, I think he has 21 points. Okay, so 21 points in 46 games played. Now, he hasn't played as many games as he probably should, but 46 games is still decent enough. Now, I thought his career is basically completely over. I think it was a leg injury that he had that was pretty much ruining his career, and he somehow, some way got back to playing with the LA Kings. He played for them a couple of months, then got traded to Ottawa, and he's still been playing a decent amount. He's still been playing decent there, and he's still playing decent throughout the whole season, and that's a lot better than what I was expecting him to be, which was basically no more career games. And he's been coming back, and the leg doesn't seem to affect him too much. I mean, he has missed quite a few games, but still, he's able to play this season, which is the big thing. I thought he was completely done, but that's a great thing to see that he's come back and is still playing decent. But that's going to, guys. Like, subscribe, and not ring that bell. Tell me down below what you thought is a player on this list or a player that's not on this list that has resurrected their career this season. I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.